I slept with my ex-student thinking it meant nothing, then my husband sent the chats to his wife. And my life collapsed overnight. I'm not here for sympathy. I know what I did, and I know what it cost me. But if you're reading this hoping for some sob story about how I was the victim, you can leave now. This is just me trying to make sense of how I went from having everything to losing it all in one night. 6 years ago, I married Karen. He's a civil engineer, works on bridge projects, sustainable infrastructure, all that technical stuff I never fully understood but pretended to care about at dinner parties. Good guy. Stable. The kind of man your parents approve of and your friends envy you for landing. We met in college, dated for 3 years, got married in this beautiful ceremony in Lonavala that cost more than my first car. Built a life in Pune, decent house, 2 incomes, the whole package. I work in HR at a pharmaceutical multinational, senior manager level. I'm good at my job. Really good. I know how to read people, manage conflicts, make tough decisions without flinching. Our marriage was fine. That's the word I kept using. Fine. Comfortable. We had our routines, morning coffee together, Netflix on weekends, love making twice a week like clockwork. He'd talk about load-bearing calculations and environmental impact assessments. I'd talk about employee retention strategies and compensation structures. We functioned well together. But somewhere around year 5, I started feeling it. That itch. Not dissatisfaction exactly, more like numbness. Like watching the same movie on repeat until you can predict every line. Karen was predictable. Our conversations were predictable. Even our arguments followed a script. I told myself it was normal. Marriage isn't supposed to be fireworks every day. You grow up, you settle down, you build something stable. That's what adults do. Then Ria's message popped up on LinkedIn. Hey, been a while. How've you been? I stared at that notification for a full minute before opening it. Ria. I hadn't thought about him in years. He was my junior in college, 3 years younger, one of those guys who always seemed to be watching me from across the classroom. Good looking in that effortless way some people have. We'd talked a few times at college fests, nothing serious, but I remembered the way he looked at me. Like I was the most interesting person in the room. I clicked on his profile. Commercial pilot now. Married. Living in Mumbai but traveling constantly for work. I should have ignored the message. Should have left it on read and gone back to my spreadsheets. But I didn't. Hey. Wow, it's been forever. I'm good, busy with work and life. How about you? That's how it started. Innocent. Just 2 old college acquaintances catching up. We talked about work, mutual friends, how different life was after graduation. He told me about flying routes across Asia. I told him about climbing the corporate ladder in HR. The messages were casual at first. Once a week, maybe. Then every few days. Then daily. He'd message late at night, long day. How do you deal with corporate politics? I'd reply from bed, Karen asleep beside me, you learn to play the game without losing yourself. Mostly. Bet you're good at that. You always knew how to handle people. It felt good. Being seen like that. Being remembered as someone capable, interesting, worth remembering. The messages got longer. More personal. He'd complain about his wife, Anvika, how she was always buried in legal briefs, how they barely talked anymore. I'd mention how Karen and I had fallen into this comfortable routine that felt more like cohabitation than romance. We never said anything explicit. Never crossed that line. But the subtext was there, hovering beneath every conversation. The thrill of it, the secrecy, it made me feel alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. 3 months of messages. Late night conversations where I'd silence my phone so Karen wouldn't hear the notifications. Deleting chat histories just to be safe. Creating a separate folder in my email for LinkedIn notifications. I told myself it was harmless. Just messages. Just nostalgia. Nothing wrong with reconnecting with an old friend. People do it all the time. Then one Tuesday evening, his message changed everything. I miss seeing you. Coffee sometime? I stared at those words for 20 minutes. I should have said no. Should have stopped right there. Should have recognized what this really was. But I didn't. I typed back, sure. When? And just like that, I crossed a line I told myself I'd never cross. We met at a cafe near the airport. Neutral territory. Public enough to feel safe, quiet enough to actually talk. He looked different. Older, more polished. The pilot uniform probably helped. We ordered coffee, made small talk about the weather and traffic. For the first 15 minutes, it really was just coffee. Then he leaned forward and said, I always wondered what would have happened if I'd asked you out back in college. And there it was. The thing we'd been dancing around for 3 months. I should have shut it down. Made some joke, changed the subject, finished my coffee and left. Instead, I heard myself say, I would have said yes. The conversation shifted after that. We stopped pretending this was about catching up. We talked about our marriages, the disappointments, the distance, the way intimacy becomes routine until it's barely intimacy at all. He understood in a way Karen never seemed to. Or maybe I just wanted him to understand. We met again the following week. Same cafe, same careful distance. Except this time, when he walked me to my car, his hand brushed mine. Not an accident. The third time, we skipped the cafe entirely. I told Karen I had a late work dinner, team building with the HR department. He kissed me goodbye, told me to drive safe, went back to his laptop and bridge calculations. Ria had booked a room at a boutique hotel near the airport. Nice place. Discreet. The kind where nobody asks questions. I stood outside that hotel room door for a full minute, key card in my hand, thinking about what I was about to do. This was real now. This wasn't messages or coffee or harmless flirting. This was a choice. I swiped the card. What followed was everything my marriage had stopped being. Intense. Consuming. The kind of connection that makes you forget everything outside that room exists. For 3 hours, I wasn't someone's wife or someone's employee or someone's anything. I was just alive. Driving home that night, I expected guilt. The crushing weight of what I'd just done. But it didn't come. Instead, I felt this strange calm. Like I'd reclaimed something I'd lost without realizing it. I walked into my house, saw Karen asleep on the couch with his laptop still open, and felt nothing. No remorse. No second thoughts. Just the quiet satisfaction of having something that was mine. That's how it continued for 4 months. Thursdays became our day. I'd create elaborate lies, late client meetings, HR conferences in Mumbai, team dinners that ran long. I falsified expense reports to cover hotel costs, used company cards for bookings, then reimbursed myself through fabricated receipts. Every detail managed, every track covered. Karen never questioned me. His trust became my shield. He'd ask how my day was, and I'd lie smoothly about difficult employees and budget meetings. He believed every word because he had no reason not to. I compartmentalized perfectly. Loving wife at home, someone entirely different with Ria. 2 lives running parallel, never intersecting. It felt like power, managing this double existence, getting away with it, being in complete control. Ria and I didn't talk about our spouses much. When we did, it was always complaints. His wife was always working, buried in legal cases, too tired for intimacy. It justified what we were doing. We weren't bad people, we were just filling voids our marriages had created. I never asked if he felt guilty. I didn't want to examine my own lack of guilt too closely. Then, about 3.5 months in, Karen changed. Nothing dramatic. He just became quieter, more distant. He'd come home from work and go straight to his office. Dinner conversations got shorter. He'd look at me sometimes with this expression I couldn't quite read. One night, I tested him. Everything okay? You seem off lately. He smiled. Just work stress. Big project deadline coming up. I believed him because I wanted to. Because the alternative, that he suspected something, would mean my carefully constructed world was cracking. 2 weeks later, I came home from another Thursday work dinner, actually 3 hours with Ria at our usual hotel. It was around 11 p.m. I expected Karen to be asleep or working in his office. Instead, he was sitting at the dining table. Calm. Laptop open. His phone placed carefully in front of my empty chair. The lights were dim, but I could see his face clearly. No anger. No tears. Just this terrible, patient stillness. How was work? He asked, voice completely neutral. My throat went dry, but I forced the lie out. Exhausting. The team dinner ran late. He didn't react. Didn't move. Just slid his phone across the table toward me. Read. And just like that, my world ended. My hand shook as I picked up his phone. The screen showed a folder labeled evidence. Inside, subfolders organized by date. January. February. March. April. I opened January. Screenshots. Dozens of them. My messages with Ria, every single one, captured and saved. The early conversations where we'd reconnected. The late night chats where things got more personal. The ones where I'd complained about Karen being too predictable. My stomach dropped, February folder, more screenshots. Messages where we'd planned our first meeting. The cafe location. The time. My message, can't wait to see you. March, hotel bookings. Receipts. Timestamps showing when I'd entered and left. Photos, not of us, but of my car in the hotel parking lot, timestamped and geotagged. April, everything. Explicit messages I'd thought were private. Photos I'd sent him. My calendar entries marked work dinner cross-referenced with hotel bookings on the same dates. Every lie I'd told. Every fake business trip. Every Thursday for 4 months. All of it organized, documented, undeniable. I looked up at Karen. How long have you? 6 weeks, he said, voice flat. I noticed you changed your phone passcode. That's what made me look closer. My throat closed. 6 weeks. He'd known for 6 weeks and said nothing. Just watched me lie to his face, documented everything, and waited. Karen, I can explain. I don't need explanations. His voice was completely devoid of emotion. I need you to understand what happens next. I set the phone down, hands trembling. We can fix this. I'll end it. I'll do whatever. I've already sent everything to her. The words didn't register at first. What? Anvika. Ria's wife. She received every screenshot, every receipt, every piece of evidence 3 hours ago. My blood went cold. You didn't. She's a family lawyer. She knew exactly what she was looking at. He checked his watch. She's probably with Ria right now. Panic exploded in my chest. I grabbed my phone, pulled up Ria's contact, hit call. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same thing. Messages wouldn't deliver. WhatsApp showed he'd blocked me. No. I scrolled frantically through my phone, trying to find some way to reach him, to warn him, too. He can't help you, Karen said quietly. Neither can she. This isn't about them anymore. I spun to face him, panic shifting to anger. You had no right to involve her. This was between us. His laugh was hollow, bitter. Between us? You involved her the moment you slept with her husband. I just made sure she knew what was happening in her marriage. Same courtesy you never gave me. This is insane. You can't just. He slid a manila envelope across the table. Divorce papers. Official letterhead from one of Pune's top family law firms. Filed this morning, he said. No fault grounds with evidence of adultery attached. My lawyer says it'll be straightforward. I stared at the papers, then at him. You're not serious. You have 48 hours to move your things out. The house is in my name, we never added you to the deed, remember? You wanted to wait until we'd been married 10 years for tax purposes. My own financial advice, coming back to destroy me. I've separated all our accounts, he continued, that same flat tone. Joint credit cards are cancelled. Your car is in your name, so that's yours. Everything else we can divide through the lawyers. Tears started falling. Real ones this time, not tactical. Karen, please. We've been together for 9 years. You can't just throw that away because I made one mistake? One mistake? He finally showed emotion, a flash of something dark in his eyes. You've been lying to my face for 4 months. You falsified work documents. You used company resources to fund an affair. You looked me in the eye every single day and lied. That's not one mistake. That's 4 months of calculated deception. I tried a different approach, voice breaking. I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, whatever you want. I'll quit my job, I don't want anything from you. He stood up, collecting his laptop. Except for you to be gone in 48 hours. Desperation made me ugly. You think you're so perfect? You were boring. Predictable. You made me feel invisible. Then you should have divorced me. His voice was ice. Instead, you chose this. Now you live with the consequences. I grabbed his arm. If you do this, I'll fight back. I'll tell everyone you were controlling, emotionally abusive. I'll destroy your reputation just like you're trying to destroy mine. He looked at my hand on his arm, then at my face. And he smiled. Actually smiled. Go ahead. I have 4 months of evidence showing exactly who I was and who you were. You have lies. Let's see which one holds up in court. He pulled his arm free, walked to the bedroom, and closed the door. Didn't slam it. Didn't yell. Just closed it. Like I was already gone. Like I was nothing. I stood there, phone clutched in shaking hands, mascara running down my face, and the truth hit me harder than any rage could have. This wasn't anger. This wasn't revenge. This was precision. Cold, methodical, Devastating precision. And I had no idea what he'd already set in motion. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. I sat on the couch in the living room, couldn't bring myself to go into the bedroom where Karen was, and tried calling Ria every 20 minutes. Blocked. Every single time. I sent emails, text messages to his other number. Even tried messaging him on LinkedIn where this whole thing had started. Nothing. For 2 days, I existed in this fog of panic. I moved my essentials to a small apartment I found on a short-term lease, couldn't afford much with only my salary and no access to our joint accounts. Karen had changed the locks on our house. I found out when I tried to go back for more clothes and my key didn't work. He'd done it legally, of course. House in his name. Sent me an email through his lawyer listing the times I could retrieve my belongings with a neutral third party present. My friends started calling. Hey, saw Karen updated his relationship status to separated. Everything okay? I fed them the line I'd prepared. We grew apart. It was mutual. Sometimes these things just don't work out. But I could hear the doubt in their voices. Mutual separations don't happen overnight. People don't go from seemingly happy to filed for divorce in 24 hours unless something dramatic happened. On day 3, I finally got a response from Ria. Just 4 words, don't contact me. Ever. I typed back immediately, we need to talk. What's happening? Is Anvika? His reply came fast, angry, Anvika knows everything. I'm F-word. We're done. Delete my number. My hands shook as I typed, Ria, please. We can figure this out. We can. Figure what out? My marriage is over. My career is over. Stay the hell away from me. Career? What did his career have to do with? I started digging. Social media, mutual contacts, anything I could find. It took me hours of piecing together fragments, but the picture that emerged made my blood run cold. Anvika wasn't just a family lawyer. Her family owned a regional airline, one of the mid-sized carriers that operated domestic routes across India. Ria worked for them. Had for 3 years. Within 72 hours of receiving Karen's evidence dump, Ria had been suspended. I found out through a pilot forum where someone had posted, anyone know what happened to Ria Malhotra? Heard he got suspended pending some conduct investigation. Conduct investigation. The words made my stomach turn. I dug deeper. His employment contract, publicly available through some airline transparency database, had morality clauses. Standard for pilots, apparently. Especially pilots working for family-owned companies where reputation mattered. Adultery while representing the company. Violation of ethical conduct standards. Breach of trust. Week 2, terminated. I saw the announcement buried in the airline's press releases. Personnel changes. His name listed among departures. The aviation community is small. Tight-knit. Pilots talk. Airlines check references. His career wasn't just damaged. It was obliterated. I got one more message from him after that. It came through a number I didn't recognize. He'd gotten a new phone. This is your fault. If you'd been more careful. If you hadn't pushed for more meetings. If you just kept it to messages like I wanted. I stared at those words, reading them over and over. Like I wanted. He was rewriting history. Making it seem like I'd seduced him, pressured him, dragged him into something he'd resisted. I typed back, you suggested the hotel. You booked the rooms. Don't put this all on me. We should have been smarter. We should have waited until our divorces were final. We rushed it and now we're both paying. Waited until our divorces were final. Like that had ever been the plan. Like we'd ever discussed leaving our spouses for each other. The affair fantasy, the one where we were two people finding real connection in loveless marriages, shattered completely. This wasn't love. This wasn't even mutual respect. This was just two people using each other for an escape, and now that consequences had arrived, he was scrambling to blame anyone but himself. I didn't respond. What was the point? My phone buzzed. Different number. My boss. Can you come in tomorrow morning? We need to discuss something. My stomach dropped. What about? Just some irregularities we noticed in your expense reports. HR wants to clarify a few things. Irregularities. The fabricated business trips. The hotel bookings charged to my corporate card. The fake receipts I'd submitted for reimbursement. Karen hadn't just documented the affair. He documented everything. I'll be there, I managed to say. I hung up and sat in my tiny apartment, 800 square feet that cost half my monthly salary, and finally understood the full scope of what was happening. This wasn't just a divorce. This wasn't just a marriage ending. This was systematic destruction. And it had only just begun. The meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. I arrived 15 minutes early, dressed in my most professional outfit, prepared to explain everything away as a misunderstanding. My boss, Priya, was there. So was the head of our compliance department. And the regional HR director, my boss's boss. 3 against 1. "Thank you for coming in," Priya said, voice carefully neutral. "We've been reviewing some expense submissions from the past 4 months." She slid a printout across the table. My own expense reports, highlighted in yellow. March 14th, business dinner with client prospects in Mumbai. Hotel stay required due to late meeting. Amount, 12,000 rupees. March 21st, HR conference in Bangalore. 2-night stay, conference fees. Amount, 18,500 rupees. April 4th, client site visit requiring overnight accommodation. Amount, 11,000 rupees. Every single one fake. Every hotel stay was actually me meeting Ria. Every business dinner was us in a hotel room. Every conference that never existed. "We contacted the vendors you listed," the compliance officer said. "The hotels confirm you stayed there, but there's no record of any business meetings. No conference registrations. No client names match our database." I opened my mouth to respond, but he continued. "We also received documentation showing these dates correspond with personal activities unrelated to company business." Documentation. Karen had sent them everything. "This is a privacy violation," I said, voice shaking. "My personal life has nothing to do with my work performance. You used company resources to fund a personal affair," Priya cut me off. "You falsified expense reports, which is fraud. You violated our ethics policy, our code of conduct, and our fiduciary responsibility standards. I'll pay it back. All of it. It was a mistake. It was 4 months of systematic deception," the HR director said. "We're placing you on administrative leave pending a full investigation. You'll need to surrender your access badge and laptop." I was walked out by security 30 minutes later. Box of desk belongings in my arms, colleagues watching from their cubicles. The whispers had already started. By that afternoon, my phone was buzzing. Friends, former colleagues, people I'd worked with for years. "Is it true? Were you having an affair? Someone said you got suspended for fraud? Did you really fake business trips to meet some guy?" I tried to control the narrative. Posted a vague Facebook status, going through a difficult time. Sometimes the people you trust most turn out to be the ones who hurt you deepest. Healing and moving forward. Implied victim status. Made it sound like Karen was the problem. It worked for about 6 hours. Then people started getting messages. Not from Karen, he never posted anything public, never said a word himself. But mutual friends started seeing things. Selected screenshots. Just enough to tell the real story. My own words, "He'll never know. He's too trusting. This is just fun. Physical. It doesn't mean anything." I love the thrill of getting away with it. The narrative I'd tried to build, wronged wife escaping toxic marriage, collapsed under the weight of my own messages. Comments on my Facebook post changed. "Maybe think about why he stopped trusting you. Just heard the full story. This is wild. Taking accountability might help with that healing you mentioned." I deleted the post. Deleted my social media accounts entirely. Week 3, the company investigation concluded. I was given a choice: resign with a mutual separation agreement or be terminated for cause with everything documented in my employment record. I resigned. Had to. A termination for fraud would destroy any chance of finding comparable work. The severance was minimal. Just enough to cover 1 month's rent in my tiny apartment. My LinkedIn started hemorrhaging connections. Recruiters who'd once courted me stopped responding to messages. HR circles in Pune are small. Word travels fast. Integrity issues. Ethics violation. Falsified company documents. Nobody wanted to touch me. The divorce proceedings dragged on. My lawyer tried every angle. Claimed emotional distress. Said Karen was controlling, that I'd been driven to seek comfort elsewhere. Karen's lawyer's response was 8 words: "Present your evidence of emotional distress." I had none. No therapy records. No documented complaints. No witnesses to any controlling behavior. Because there hadn't been any. He'd been a good husband. Present, supportive, trusting. And I'd been bored. Court mediation was brutal. The judge reviewed the evidence, all of it. The affair timeline, the falsified expense reports, the documented lies. The settlement came back heavily in Karen's favor. He kept the house. I got minimal alimony, just enough to survive, not enough to maintain the lifestyle I'd had. Standard for fault-based adultery cases where the cheating spouse showed pattern of deception and fraud. I tried reaching out to Ria one last time. Maybe we could at least commiserate, support each other through this nightmare we'd created. He responded from yet another new number. My lawyer said not to contact you. Anvika thinks we might try to reconcile and she'll use it in the divorce. Just leave me alone. Even in ruin, he was only thinking about himself. How this affected him. What it might cost him. I started seeing his flight schedule pop up in pilot forums, regional cargo routes out of smaller airports. The kind of flying that pays a fraction of what he'd made before. Night flights, unglamorous routes, career purgatory. Anvika had gotten everything in their divorce. The apartment, the savings, majority of their assets. His family blamed him entirely. Hers had the money and the lawyers. 6 months after that night at the dining table, I sat in my cramped apartment scrolling through job rejections. Every application asked about my previous employer. Every reference check ended in silence. The pharmaceutical industry in India is tightly networked. My reputation had spread like a virus. I drafted one final email to Karen. Not begging. Not apologizing. Just trying to understand. Did it feel good? Destroying everything I built? His response came 3 days later. Only one line. I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences of your own choices. Then I got the final notice from my lawyer. Divorce finalized. Settlement executed. It was over. But the real punishment wasn't the divorce or the lost assets or even the ruined career. It was watching everyone move on without me while I stayed frozen in the wreckage. 9 months later, I'm writing this from my parents' house in Nashik. The apartment became too expensive after my third job rejection in a row. Moving back home at 32 feels exactly like the failure it is. The divorce was finalized 2 months ago. Karen kept the house, of course he did. I got minimal alimony, just enough to cover basics. Fault-based adultery with documented fraud doesn't get you much sympathy in court. I've applied to 47 jobs in the past 6 months. Heard back from 11. Got 3 interviews. 0 offers. The problem isn't my qualifications. It's the reference checks. The gaps in employment. The carefully worded questions. Can you explain the circumstances around your departure from your previous role? HR professionals talk. Especially in India, especially in Pune's pharmaceutical corridor. My name comes up in conversations I'll never hear, attached to words like integrity issues and ethics violation. I'm working part-time now at a small recruiting firm. Entry-level work. Making less than I did fresh out of college. My boss is 26 and calls me ma'am in a way that feels like pity. Ria's situation isn't much better. I know because I still check sometimes, not because I care about him, but because misery loves company. He's flying cargo routes out of Kolkata. Late-night freight runs, the kind of flying nobody wants. His Instagram went from luxury hotels and sunset cockpit views to nothing. Account deleted. LinkedIn profile stripped down to bare minimum. His divorce from Anvika finalized a month before mine. She got the apartment they'd bought together, most of their savings, everything that mattered. Her family made sure of it. Turns out having a family law attorney wife with connections and resources is the worst possible scenario when you're the one who cheated. We tried meeting once, about 2 months after everything fell apart. His idea. Maybe we should talk? We're both going through the same thing. We met at a cheap cafe in Vashi. Couldn't afford the places we used to go. It lasted 20 minutes before it devolved into blame. If you hadn't pushed for meetings so often. You're the one who booked the first hotel. We should have been more careful with the messages. Maybe if you'd actually thought about the consequences. We couldn't even look at each other. The affair had been built on fantasy, on escape, on the thrill of something forbidden. Strip away the secrecy, add crushing consequences, and there was nothing left. No connection. No future. Just 2 people who'd destroyed their lives for something that evaporated the moment reality arrived. I haven't spoken to him since. Last month, I saw Karen. Mutual friend's wedding, couldn't avoid it without making things more awkward than they already were. He looked good. Better than good. He'd lost some weight, had this lightness about him I'd never noticed before. Or maybe it had always been there and I'd just stopped seeing it. He was with friends, laughing at something someone said. Didn't see me at first. When he did, his expression didn't change. No anger, no hurt, no acknowledgement at all. He just looked through me. Like I was a stranger. Less than a stranger, strangers at least get a polite nod. He turned back to his conversation and I realized, I don't exist to him anymore. I'm not even worth hating. That hurt worse than anything he could have said. I found out later he'd been promoted at work, leading some major infrastructure project in Goa. His friends posted pictures, him at the site, hard hat on, looking confident and engaged. Anvika's doing well too. Made partner at her firm. Posted about it on LinkedIn with a photo at some legal conference. Comments full of congratulations, people celebrating her success. They both rebuilt. Moved forward. Became better versions of themselves. And where am I? Living with my parents. Working an entry-level job. Watching my former colleagues advance while I explained to my mother why I'm not married anymore. I blamed everyone at first. Karen for being boring. Ria for not being careful enough. The system for being unfair. My employer for overreacting. But sitting here now, watching everyone else move on while I'm stuck in the same place I was 9 months ago, I finally see it clearly. I told myself it didn't mean anything. That it was just physical, just fun, just a harmless escape from routine. But every Thursday I lied to Karen's face, it meant something. Every expense report I falsified, it meant something. Every message where I laughed about how trusting he was, it meant something. I thought I was smart. Careful. In control. I wasn't. I was just getting away with it until I wasn't. The affair didn't destroy me. The lies didn't destroy me. What destroyed me was how effortlessly they ended me after. Karen never posted publicly. Never played victim. Never told anyone who didn't need to know. He just documented the truth and let it work. Anvika did the same with Ria, methodical, legal, complete. No rage. No revenge. Just consequences, delivered with surgical precision. They didn't destroy us. They just stopped protecting us from ourselves. And that's the worst punishment of all, being left behind while they move forward, unbothered, unbroken. I thought I was in control. I wasn't. I never was. Final update, posted 3 months later. I'm not posting this for sympathy. I'm posting this because someone needs to hear it. If you're reading this and you're in the middle of something you're telling yourself doesn't mean anything, stop. Right now. Before you send that message, before you book that hotel, before you convince yourself you're smart enough to manage it. You're not. Nice guys don't finish last. They just stop playing with people who think rules don't apply to them. And when they walk away, they take everything you took for granted with them. I lost my career, my marriage, my reputation, and my self-respect. Not because of one mistake. Because of 4 months of choices I kept telling myself didn't matter. They mattered. They all mattered. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.